The 31st Magnolia Awards has finally concluded, but the controversy surrounding it is only beginning to ignite. As the most discussed Janzi of this Zang Hai Juan led the pack with 6 heavyweight nominations: Best Director, Best Screenplay, and Best Actor. However, the final result was a staggering sweep of 0 wins. This outcome didn't just leave fans frustrated, it left many industry observers deeply puzzled. We must state this clearly from the very beginning. Re-examining this result is not about denying the merits of the winners. We respect the dedication of every professional in this industry. However, the prestige of a major award stems from its transparency. It stems from its inclusivity and the diversity of its aesthetics. When a masterpiece that dominates every data metric faces a structural lockout, when a show with significant global influence leaves empty-handed, we must look deeper into the underlying machinery. By dissecting genre barriers and institutional loopholes, we find that this disappointment is not about a lack of talent. It is a collision with a rigid, closed-loop system. For nearly 2 decades, the Magnolia Awards has harbored a deep-seated bias. Its evaluation system is fundamentally anchored in what they call realism. It prioritizes contemporary social issues and historical revolutionary dramas. While the committee claims to value quality over genre, the historical data tells a much darker and more consistent story. There is an unspoken but ironclad rule in this circle. Since 2013, the Best Actor trophy has never been awarded to a period drama lead, not once in 13 years. This has created an invisible yet impenetrable genre ceiling. Think of the legendary period masterpieces of the past decade: Empresses in the Palace, The Story of Minglan, or Nirvana in Fire. All of them faced massive nominations, followed by total losses. They weren't lesser works by any stretch of the imagination. They simply operated outside the traditional aesthetic comfort zone of the jurors. Zang Hai Juan brought a top-tier industrial standard to the screen. Its character growth and narrative depth possess the weight of a serious historical drama. Yet, because of its fictionalized setting, it was dismissed as non-realist. Xiao Zhan's performance broke a 13-year drought by securing a nomination. Many hoped this signaled a shift toward aesthetic diversity. Unfortunately, the result proved that the prejudice remains as entrenched as ever. If genre bias is a chronic illness, then the institutional loopholes of this year were the immediate trigger. These issues are not conspiracy theories. They are based on structural flaws. First, the jury is remarkably small. All major awards are decided by just 7 individuals behind closed doors. In the world of professional decision-making, the personal preferences of 7 people cannot represent an entire industry. The viewing experience of millions of global fans carries 0 weight. The real-world cultural impact of the show carries 0 weight. This leads to a bizarre and frustrating reality. A national hit that withstands public scrutiny loses to a niche work. A work that has little resonance beyond a small circle of industry insiders. When professional critique becomes detached from public aesthetic, an award ceases to be a badge of excellence. It becomes a tool for self-congratulation within a bubble. The bedrock of any fair award is the absolute avoidance of conflict of interest. The Magnolia Awards, however, relies primarily on jurors' self-reporting. There is no public disclosure of ties and no third-party oversight. Public records reveal a troubling pattern of professional intersection. The chair of this year's jury shares a decade-long history with the winner. Multiple jurors have collaborated on major projects with the awarded parties. This small circle of collaborators creates an objective risk. A risk where personal ties and aesthetic alignment override external innovation. Zang Hai Juan and its lead actor operated outside this specific clique. Without the backing of this internal network, they were at a disadvantage from day one. In a system without mandatory recusal, circle preference becomes a barrier that talent alone cannot overcome. There is a profound contradiction in how the committee operates. They proclaim a no-traffic, quality-only stance to maintain an air of elitism. Yet, the ceremony's marketing leans heavily on stars like Xiao Zhan. They use these high-traffic shows to generate social media buzz. They use them to attract sponsors and international attention, using a show for its massive global reach to boost the ceremony's prestige, while simultaneously dismissing its artistic merit during the voting, is a form of clout harvesting that feels deeply manipulative. This double standard is why the global audience feels a sense of betrayal. It discourages creators from investing in high-quality innovations in other genres. Let us look at the performance itself through a neutral lens. Xiao Zhan's portrayal of Zang Hai was a masterclass in layered acting. This character spans a vast emotional timeline of hidden pain and strategic calculation. Xiao Zhan used subtle shifts in gaze and precise control of speech tempo. He avoided the typical over-the-top emotional outbursts of the genre. Instead, he delivered a performance of incredible internal depth. This restrained style is arguably much harder to master. His poise at the ceremony mirrored the dignity of the character he played. He has become a king without a crown in the eyes of millions. But in a system that prioritizes seniority over current quality, such breakthroughs are often treated as items to be traded or deferred. The 6 nominations, 0 wins for Zang Hai is a symptom of a decade of genre bias and an opaque institutional culture. It lost to an outdated mechanism, not a lack of artistic merit. However, a masterpiece is never defined by a single piece of paper. As a cultural ambassador, Zang Hai has stood the test of global scrutiny. The genuine love of the audience is a trophy that can never be revoked. We hope the Magnolia Awards can find the courage to reform, to increase transparency, and to embrace the true diversity of Chinese drama. Xiao Zhan's strength does not lie in the awards he is given. It lies in the sincerity he pours into every single role. This setback is not an end. It is a catalyst. The path to breaking prejudice is never easy, but every step taken will eventually find its echo in history.